Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and everything in between, above, below, through dimensions, and, well, anything else. My name is Blazybard, your host with an ever-increasing amount of hair. I'm joined here today, as always, by the fantastically wonderful Lomi Wormy. How are you doing today, Lomi?
It's been a great day so far, and these matches are going to be even better. We saw some hype ones in the past bit of the SPL set, but now it's time to bring it on back to the NASCC, and our first one of the day is going to be Locked and Goated up against Hype Unit, and it's going to be a great one.
I'm very excited. Obviously, we we saw Hype Unit a little bit last week, and they were very, very interesting, very, very spicy. They're currently sitting about they're currently sitting number 2 on the standings, 2 to 1 in terms of their win-loss. Haven't seen too much of Locked and Goated though, so hopefully we'll be in for a bit of a ride as we jump into these games. Let's have a look and pick some bands, see what these two teams are gonna lock and goat for us. Tried it, didn't quite work, but can't say I didn't try. Now,
yeah, that's for sure.
We know a couple things about these two teams. More specifically, Hype Unit. Now, Alquang's gonna get banned out here by Locked and Goated, but what kind of things are we looking at probably for Hype Unit to kind of draft into here?
I think they're probably going to get something high pressure for Layers. He's been very popular on the Thor and been popping up a lot with it too, so I think we could be seeing him kind of go back to that. But obviously, if we're looking at what's OP and what's not, you know, we're kind of been on this train of talking about Hecate abusers and that sort of nature. And as for now, we're actually not seeing any of them other than the Alquang banned away, so kind of surprising there. But at the same time, the only thing that really does shock me about these picks and bans thus far, at least, is that very early Raijin ban.
Yeah, well, Raijin definitely not in our list of top bans here. Well, he is, but not something you would normally see straight away. Definitely not first ban. But the Emoja, Cthulhu, Alquang, Nemesis even, very standard. Very used to seeing these. I mean, well, we saw last week what Nayu could do on this Raijin. So, I mean, maybe they're trying to ban it away from Locked and Goated, but I'm not really sure that would be a priority for them here, as Persephone's going to be the final ban for Hyped Unit.
That does leave open all of our Hecate abusers then, other than the Alquang, which would be the Olaran, the Freya, and there it is, Olaran first pick, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this going straight to Pagon, although, to be honest, sending it over to the duo lane isn't bad as well. He does have a pretty good time over in the ADC role, especially if he's able to just sit back and farm for the first 20 or so minutes. But to counteract that, they're throwing out the Hu Yi, which, you know, I guess is a fine counter. I'm looking for a character that can easily deal with those fields. When you throw him out, Hu Yi can go up in the sky and kind of stay there for a very long time in those iframes, but, you know, he can't really fight back. And I was kind of looking more so in that direction, maybe something like a Jing Wei or even a Cupid to kind of slow things down for him, but Hu Yi and Cerberus locked in on the other side.
Well, I mean, like you just said, Olaran is one of these characters who can be flexed into two roles here, so Hype Unit may be going for the, let's just hope it's in the mid lane and pick a Hu Yi anyway, but Amaterasu and Terra are going to be picked here for Locked and Goated. Now, Amaterasu, very strong solo laner at the moment, probably number 2, just behind Cthulhu, and well, when you ban out Squidward, you got to pick Amaterasu, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Terra, not something that we regularly see, but Hype Unit bringing out the Kuzumbo. Thank you, Quig. What a man.
This is a very natural pick, I feel like, up into the Olaran, because the Watery Grave does keep you CC immune for pretty much the entire duration of the Sanctified Fields, and if you're able to get close enough to the Olaran with it, you kind of just stop him from using the speed up that he can get when in those fields. So this is a really great pick here to counteract everything that they're going to be getting from that huge Olaran ultimate. I love to see it.
Going to ban out the Awilix. I think this is a really smart call for Hype Unit. If they don't want to play against it, they've got 2 characters already drafted with those jumps. And Olaran does have the small knockup. Not really sure that's going to be a huge deal for them, but it's something to consider. Daji's going to be banned out here by Locked and Goated, though. Thor and Erlang being the last bans. Now, some of these are pretty spicy.
Yeah, huge focus here at the jungle. They're kind of just letting the mid lane mages go, which I'm kind of surprised about, to be honest. But at the same time, I think that it is nice to kind of poke at each other in the jungle role and kind of see who has more to give, right? Because in total, there's, 6 junglers at the very least that have been banned away here? Somebody's got to dig deep, and if anyone's going to do it, I definitely think that Layers has got the deeper god pool.
I mean, sure. Maybe he's got the deeper god pool here. But like, there are so many junglers that are available at the moment. To the point where I almost feel like any jungler worth his salt will have something that is available to them at the moment. We're seeing the Mulan here, which I'm expecting to go into the jungle. But there's Raven, there's even like spicier picks like Humbats that are still, maybe not as strong, but definitely viable. And there's going to be the Heimdall confirming our suspicions, or at least I hope so. That is going to be an Oleron mid going up against this Discordia on Hype Unit's side. What do you think to that matchup?
I think that either of them could work. We have seen Heimdall mid in the past, so I don't necessarily hate it at all. I think it actually is a very good pick and can easily juke away from some of the damage that Hype Unit is going to bring, but Camazot's getting locked here. I think this is a spicy pick, especially because he is going to be able to stick onto some of these characters that do need to scale up into the late game. And I think, honestly, they've drafted really well for this character. Camazot's himself famous for not having a whole lot of CC, but he's got 2 Guardians at his side. This is definitely going to be the comp to pick him in if you're going to pick him at all.
Well, I mean, they always say the best CC is death, and Camazot's going to be raining out plenty of that as we head into Game 1 between these 2 teams now. I'm super excited. I love the Batman, I love Turtle Boy, and I love the 3-headed doggo. So I'm really liking Hype Unit's comp here. I think Locked and Goated, they have a pretty solid comp here. Actually, hold on, just in the left side jungle, Stuart getting caught out potentially by Quig, who is going a little bit ham, but does force out the beads out of Oleron. So already pretty decent start for Hype Unit. But let's go back to what I was about to say. Heimdall actually being picked into the mid lane here, Len.
I think it's a good call for them, but also I love this pressure coming out here from Quig. He knows that this Terra has a really rough time clearing, and you can already see that Quig there is just pushing Ionic out of that camp to make sure that that camp gets reset, meaning that Stuart needs to decide, man, do we go for this and confirm it, or do we just go for our wave? And because Ionic does have that hog, he is able to secure it, but Quig has been wasting so much of this support's time that it honestly does not even matter.
Do we need to call someone? I feel like this is cyberbullying. Like, that was Quig just pushed, like, I'm upset by that. I feel physically upset if I'm Locked and Goated. So that's going to be a bit of a rough start for them, especially on this. Ionic gets picked up here. That is so unfortunate. The rotation from Layers is going to work out. They're going to pick up the kill onto the support. And I mean, if that start wasn't rough enough, Lemmy, first blood as well, a minute into the game.
This was incredibly smart drafting here from Hype Unit to be able to pressure out basically every single pick that Locked and Goated have gone for, and you can just see exactly what that pressure can get you. They invaded the red buff and got a kill. Freezing? And they are freezing at this point. That's true too. So they are just trying to absolutely maximize every single bit of gold they can. And Quake doesn't even really care that he's level 1 still. He's more than happy to hang out as a nice little Christmas turtle, trying to find yet another pick onto the guys in the enemy team.
I mean, you're absolutely right. There's nothing really that that Locked and Goated can do to Quig if he just decides to exist in their face. And like, dang, they're gonna freeze up the wave as well. So that's, I mean, Hype Unit definitely full control over this dual lane at the moment. Got a little bit of a glimpse into the midlife just a second ago, but what kind of things are Locked and Goated looking to do here? What is the response?
They're mostly going to be trying to pick on this Discordia. That's kind of the idea behind this Mulan, is force the beads early with that arrow. And then as soon as Nayu doesn't have the beads, it's going to be real easy for Mulan to jump in there with the ultimate and lock her down. But that's the big question, because Benny Jr. is going to make the jungler's life even harder because Stuart's getting so low.
He looks so close to death. He's going to get pushed away by Quig, and the wall's going to find the secure and the kill. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Laze is going to pick one up on himself, but it's going to be Ionic last to fall down in this little engagement here. That's going to be a second death for him. Benny Q and Quig just completely full throttling it over here in the left lane, and Layers picks up another one. What just happened?
He's got no mana on that right-hand side, but it does not matter. He must have sustained up with one of the puddles that he got from killing Relentless One, because with that little mana, my man's got no way to use any abilities, and that's kind of what Camazotz does best, right? He just flings out the screen, but here we go on the replay. You can see that Layers picks up that kill nice and easy, and then probably invades that blue buff, but this is just masterful so far from Hype Unit. They have been all over the place, and I'm not even joking, from red buff to blue buff, invading left and right.
It's definitely a rough situation here for Locked and Goated, who 4 minutes out of the gate, and they are already 2 whole K behind. 2 whole
Yikes.
Ks. 2 of them.
That's a lot.
And, I mean, I'm almost lost for words here, Lemmy. Like, what kind of things are Locked and Goated supposed to be doing in this situation? When they have no farm?
It's really tough to say because they've got to kind of buckle down and pick up wherever farm is necessary. They drafted themselves into a hole here, and that's kind of the way that they have to work out of it, is to pick up the pieces of to whatever Hype Unit leaves alone, and they really have to be on top of it because the more time that they waste twiddling their thumbs in lane, the less farm that they've got on the map, because it really does seem like Hype Unit are just some kind of different level here.
Yeah, there's definitely layers to the SCC, and Hype Unit are on one of the upper layers for sure. But I'm looking towards the relentless one here. I think if there is maybe a hope in the dark, it's this Amaterasu, who the shining sun goddess. She's got a really strong late game. If they can get her there.
They are going to put pressure here on Cascade and Layers, who look to invade again, but Elion's got to be careful, man. Layers goes up in the sky. He might be able to get that last hit, but not going to fully commit to that one. Does take a tower shot, but Relentless, as we've been talking about, he got his blue. It might be his time to shine, like you said, and really, if anyone's going to be able to do it, I do think it has to be on the back of this Amaterasu, but man, they are not leaving him alone. Hype Unit are literally reading our minds, right? We said Relentless one has to be the one to do it, and they said, all right, if you think so, we're sending 3 people over here and not letting this man breathe.
They're trying to snuff out the light as 2 blinks come over the wall and down falls Amaterasu. Not even a second to blink herself. She's gonna get smushed straight into the dirt, and that puts number 6 on the board for Hype Unit. I mean, that was some coordinated gameplay there. I was about to say both blinks there, but Cerberus doesn't actually have a. It's because I'm being silly. It was the Kuzenbo there. Both blinks do come out. It's just me. Apple's going to be off the mark here in the mid lane though. But over in the left-hand side, BennyQ under some pressure, forced to use the feeds, but I'm not really sure there's too much that the blue team can do here as Quick comes around the corner. Scratch that thought, the Sunball from Stuart's going to put him in the ground.
I loved this thought here from Elion. He knows that the pressure is over there on that right-hand side. The book has been read at least 3 times so far by both teams. They're saying, okay, you're throwing 3 members on a Relentless. Well, now BennyQ is going to have at least a member or 2 on his side of the board, and with those beads getting forced early by the fields, there's no way for Benny to get away from this Mulan. So very good job by Elion to once again capitalize on what he's reading from Hype Unit's gameplay.
This Mulan in the jungle's like a wild card here. I think it's one of those picks that could either work really, really well or really, really poorly. And if Elion keeps playing in this way, keeps finding these small advantages, I think potentially he could find it. But we'll have to see. Stuart again, still caught under tower. He's just forced under here, just like every other member of Locked and Goated. They don't have any space to breathe, Lemmy.
And that's exactly what you have to do if you're Hype Unit. You've got to take those 6 kills you've managed to accrue in the first 6 or so minutes of the game, and you've got to push the limit as far as possible. And we've been seeing them do it slowly. They've slowed down in the past minute or 2, as you saw Neu unfortunately miss the apple there onto the Heimdall. So a little bit slower pace now. We're getting into the part of the game where ultimates are starting to get leveled up. But just kidding, as soon as I said that, BennyQ solo Stuart said this might be the end here for this Hu Yi, as 2 members are on his back.
I don't think there's a way out of this for BennyQ, but the rest of the red team are coming through here. Hype Unit looking to avenge their fallen comrade, and now he's going to do just that. Yonic falls down, and that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Sorry, a 1-for-2 trade over in the left-hand side with a potential Gold Fury coming through. I'm not sure at this point. Hype Unit are just running away with this, already about 3k up here at 8 minutes, 2.5k. And it looks like the sky's the limit for Hype Unit at this point, unless Locked and Goated can start to find something to claw back here, as the tier 1 in left has already gone down.
That just is coming from the absolute pressure this Hu Yi has had over in this left-hand side. And Layers, I would argue that spending his time there trying to split push was a bit unwise, but getting down that tower early just makes it that much easier to put the pressure on this left-hand side jungle. They're going to definitely be able to feel safe around that purple now, so I could constantly see that invade coming out from Hype Unit, and that's just going to be another place for Lightning Goda to continue to be losing farm. They've got to put some pressure over there, or at least have some eyes, and that's going to be a lot on Ionic and how he travels between the duo and mid.
Well, speaking of those invades, we do see a lot of wards on the map from Locked and Goated. If we can have a look at who's been placing these wonderful little wards. But I think this is part of the key strategy that Locked and Goated need to be looking to do. As you can see here, 6-5-5 coming out of the solo and duo lane for Locked and Goated. Has hold that thought over in the right-hand side. Fight's going to break out. Cascade might be in some trouble here as he's caught out all alone. Yeeted into the stratosphere is he. But Layers is going to pick up one whilst his comrades up into the sky. Cascade falls back down onto the back harpies, but he will fall down to Pagon eventually. Now it's Layers who could be in some trouble here, but not really too much that can happen out of that little scuffle there. 1-for-1 goes, and I would say that's probably in favor of Locked and Goated, except that the Gold Fury was taken there.
Yeah, that was honestly pretty easy for them there. They saw like 3 or so members unlocked and Goated headed over that side. Neu says, all right, boys, it's time to head over. But right now, Neu's probably saying, Layers, are you okay? As we can see, Leon trying to get aggressive onto the Batman, but he is able to scurry away there. So he does get back okay, but now Neu is going to be in a bit of trouble if he's getting surrounded.
But here comes the support, Quig blinking in to try and help out his mid laner. Stun is not quite going to be good from the Relentless one. He's going to get turned around with the apple. That's going to pop and leave him defenseless. Quig is going to take up that kill. And now it's Locked and Goated who are trying to make the run away. Can they get back? I think they're all going to be fine. Lazy back coming out from Pagon, but no hey time from Quig to have to stop out that back.
Not really worth to stop the back, honestly, but might be careful here as Benny Q is very much pushed up into enemy territory. Does not look like he stole away that purple, so that will still be available, but the Alpha Harpy continues to be taken away consistently by this Hu Yi, and you can already see just in the level differential, even though this Hu Yi has been picked on a couple of times by Leon, he's still finding these little advantages and does have an extra kill to his name.
Yeah, and 3 extra assists on top of that, as Pyromancer is going to fall down as well here to Hype Unit. That's going to be 2 objectives under their belt, 10 minutes in, alongside 2 tier 1 towers on this map. That's just, the slope's getting slipperier, Lermy, and wards can only do so much to stop it.
Big agree there. You always say wards win games, but sometimes it's not winnable unless you're working together as a team. And we've slowly seen Locked and Goated start to have some kind of response up against the aggression from the Hype Unit. I mean, this mid-tier 1 tower is gone. That is worth talking about because that's going to open up the map a whole lot too. And especially if Cascade here can get this solo, this just means even more pressure for the Cerberus, especially if he's able to make a rotation in mid.
Paralyzing Spit is going to be on the mark, but not quite enough damage for Relentless One, and no ultimate available from Cascade to try and finish up that kill, so that's unfortunate for him, but he is going to be sitting pretty 2 levels up, so I'm not really sure that the Cerberus is too worried about securing that kill there. Instead, forces Amaterasu out and makes her lose out on some extra farm. But I think Locked and Goated, as you said, they're starting to find a little bit of ground against Hype Unit in some situations. Do you think that's to do with the comp, or do you think they're just getting more confident in their stead?
I think it has to do a little bit with both. They have found a couple of really nice picks, and especially those onto DQ. It's been really good to slow the Hunter down just a little bit, but it also is that their comp is sort of ramping up. A lot of these characters, you would argue, are very, very late game, especially when we're looking at Amaterasu, Terra, Olaran. These guys need a bunch of items to start to get online, and so now that we're getting to that point where, at least they have 1 or 2 items online, it's starting to get even better for these boys. So I would say, Hype Unit, you're on a ticking time bomb here, and if you don't finish up soon, or at least grow your lead even more, it's gonna get rough.
Well, they're definitely looking to further that goal with this potential kill onto Ionic here in the left-hand side. Ultimate is popped by BennyQ, but thanks to the ultimate from Terra, she is going to be able to survive. Ionic just barely scrapes out of that one, but now you got this 4-man grouping here from Hype Unit. No Gold Fury available to them, but it looks like they could be looking for something over here in the left-hand side. as 3 members are rotating, but looks like it's just going to be the purple buff. Probably not looking to aggress onto this tier 2.
Good job there, Vice Stewart, to take the defensive pathway. You can see that he's got a ward there on the purple too, because he knows it's going to be a constant target by Hyperion. He is as well, so him taking the defensive pathing there certainly did save his life, as unlikely as that may seem. Just the little things that you can do in games will turn things around, but for Relentless, it's got to be something big here, because he's sitting 3 or so levels down now on the Cerberus, and proxying just is not going to do it. He's got to be the one to make an earlier rotation to actually prove his worth in a team fight, because as soon as Cascade shows up, it's definitely going to be in the favor of Hype Unit, because he's got the lead.
Well, I think there's that kind of paradigm shift to it, really, where Relentless One will be useful for longer in the fights as a big team fight dude, because he's got those auras, he's got that passive, makes a lot of members of Hype Unit look a little bit less intimidating when Locked and Goated have 30 plus power and also are doing extra % damage to one or multiple members. But Cascade, with that ultimate and the paralyzing spit, especially when he hits shots like that, Elion getting caught out, but luckily the rest of his team are around to help him out. But Cascade, once he hits that ultimate, he's not really, well, he's definitely healthy, but ultimate's going to come through. Force out beats from 1, but he's going to be forced to back away now, as over on the right-hand side, ultimates are flying, suns are coming down, the field is popped, but it's not going to save Stuart, as Nayu is also going to pick up a kill for himself onto Elion. Now's the jump in to Relentless. Double jump in, though, as Leia's not feeling like giving his ADC any space to pick up a kill for himself. He's going to jump straight onto that Amaterasu. And now Oni Fury is being picked up here by Hype Unit. And with Oni Wave's 5 members and some tasty-looking towers all around the map, this could be some tier 2s here.
At first, that fight looked really, really good for Locked and Goated, because Cascade didn't hit anyone with the ultimate there. It was beads down by at least 1 member, but them getting split up like that actually turned out to be so bad, as they were able to continuously pick out one after another. I mean, Stuart was just kind of isolated on the backline, couldn't do a single thing about it. He popped the fields, but the fields just were not enough to save the poor Olaron's life, and he has really just been forced into the ground here. He's got no towers to his name, and really can't even push up at all. There's sentry wards all over that left side. That's going to be so much money to try and make something happen there.
And Ionic here as well, Ionic's in the same boat. Those towers were co-owned. He doesn't have any towers on his side of the map, so he's going to try and put some pressure onto Hype Units, but all he's going to find is a big dog, and I'm sorry, Ionic, but to Cascade, you just look like one big stick, and he wants to play fetch.
Cascade certainly is making his name known across the SCC, putting it really well in the face of Locked and Goated, saying, hey, we knew Relentless One as a superstar from the first couple of splits, but now that we're in phase 3, it's time for the new blood to show up, and Cascade, man, he's been doing a great job tanking up that Fire Giant. And it's as free as it's ever been. Everyone from Locked and Goated is just split pushing. They don't think that they can take this fight, and from a 10k deficit, I've got to agree with them. They need to find farm somewhere else on the map, and they really just need to buckle down and pick a defense out of Phoenix.
Well, Lummy, it's going to be very difficult for them here. As you said, 10, now 11k down with a full Fire Giant team at 17 minutes into the game, who are currently sieging down this mid-tier 2 tower uncontested, whilst Layers is over in the right-hand side. Hype Unit looking to potentially pick up a Phoenix, but instead they're going to go over to the right-hand side and reunite with their jungler to take down this last structure standing from Locked and Goated, but I'm not too sure what they can do to stop this from Hype Unit beyond maybe purchasing an Emperor's armor on their side, really turtling under tower, just using everything they've got, trying to get a pick onto potentially Benny Q, Nayu, who?
Gosh, I mean, I love the idea with the turtling, but the thing is, Hype Unit has a turtle. He's level 15, which is the same level as most of the carries on Locked and Goated, and he is incredibly tanky. And not only does Hype Unit have a turtle, but they also have a 3-headed doggo who, with both their Guardian scalings combined, can easily take shots from a Phoenix, even if they're sped up. So they've got to get really lucky and kind of wrap around the backside. Like you said, find a pick onto someone. Honestly, it's got to be either Nayu or Benny Q. They've got to pick a target, and if I'm going to pick an easier one, it might just be this Hu Yi.
Potentially, Benny Q definitely one of the easier targets of Hype Unit to try and focus out, but I love what Locked and Goated are doing here. They're taking these small, very minuscule advantages and taking towers on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, whilst Hype Unit are waiting for these waves to push up, and they are back in time, so that little bit of gold could save them here, although it will be rough as the siege is about to start. Wave is about to pour in, and here comes the blink from Quig. He's going to instantly start knocking up 2 people. The apple's going to fly through. Up into the sky goes Quig, but the apple's going to be good, forcing out the ADC there from Locked and Goated. Now Sun's going to come through, trying to make some space for this team here as Nayu's going to start the party. Leia taking one for himself. Here comes the field from Olorun, but it's not going to find anyone in it. If anything, just being used for spacing at the moment, and with no wave left for them, but 2 kills under their belt, it looks like Hype Unit are potentially just looking to wait around for the next wave to come through and then continue the siege.
We're mostly going to be looking for the teleport back in here from Cascade. Layers is heading over to this mid lane to keep it pushed up and make them spread out, because with 2 members down, it's going to be really difficult to deal with this full health Cascade, especially if he blinks in and gets a great stun like that, followed up by a couple hits from Betty Q, and down he goes, and Relentless is just getting knocked around. There's not much he can do, and this honestly might just be it. Layers just took down Kagon. I don't know if they can defend this.
I don't think they can, Lermy, as the shots are going to come through onto the Titan. Only Elon available. Ultimate is available to him, and he's going to do so, but just doesn't have the damage. He's going to fall down nearly instantly. Aegis is going to save the life, but Quig going to put him in the ground, and that's going to be Titan falling. Game 1 goes very, very securely into the hands of Hype Unit there, who just, I mean, can I say it? Can I say steamroll?
I mean, you're not wrong if you say that, right? It just was that. From minute 1, it seemed like there was no response from Locked and Goated. They did try, but their draft just didn't allow it. They didn't draft any pressure. And what can you do when an early game character like Kamisats walks up to you at level 2 and says, "This is my kill now"?
The moment that Quig went to the purple buff and stopped them from doing it, they weren't in range to get the purple buff, and he just pushed Terra out of it and was like, "Stop. I am controlling you." That was a metaphor for this entire game. Quig was all over the map. Layers was all over the map. Benny Q, Nehu, Cascade, they were just there to help facilitate their shenanigans. And shenanigans occurred, Lermy. They occurred!
Plenty of them did, and I mean, we took down towers. Did Hype Unit at, what, 6 or 7 minutes? This game was just entirely in the palm of Hype Unit, and Locked and Goated did their best to snatch it away. There were a couple of times they found some pretty decent picks on the Benny Q, but it just got out of their control. There just was no way to contest any of the objectives that Hype Unit brought up. I mean, we didn't even see them fight against the Fire Giant. There was 1 Fire Giant this game.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Hype Unit, I'm BMing Benny Q for feeding, because I mean, he died twice. That's
Come on, you can't do that.
Feeding. Well, he's feeding. What can I say? He completely fed Elion. That's why he was able to do so much in that game. Look at him. Top damage on his team. Oh, sorry. Just nearly top damage on his team. Out damaged a little bit by Relentless, but it's an Amaterasu solo, so you can't really. Does that count? Does solo damage really count, Lemmy?
Honestly, no, because if we're looking at Cascades, that's 15,500 on the dot. So, I mean, this Cerberus could not be slowed down. And we talked about how Relentless really was the one that could have brought through some kind of late game victory. But honestly, if Locked and Goated are going to have a better performance in game number 2, they've got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I feel like they just drafted too much late game, as we saw. You know, Olorun, Heimdall, Amaterasu, these are all really late game characters with nothing really to help them into the early game. So in the second phase of picks and bans that we're about to get into, I want to see them, if they do want to go back to some of these later game drafts, maybe picking up something in the jungle that can help facilitate that early push, just to try and help them along, because they really needed that extra little bit of space.
I think we talked about this briefly before, but when you talked about the Kuzenbo push being the metaphor, it kind of goes back to Terra not really being a character until she hits level 3. So Terra is awesome once you get her to that level 3 mark, but the Kuzenbo basically said to the Terra, "Hey man, you don't exist now. I'm going to make it so you don't exist ever." So I would love to them to kind of ditch this Terra, go for something that has a little more early pressure, or maybe even take out the Kuzenbo. Make it so that Quig cannot be this aggressive.
Well, Definitely looks like it could happen, as the first ban from Locked and Goated is going to be the Respect over onto Layers. Can't blame them for that. The Camazots did work, and Raijin is going to be the ban over from Hype Unit. So we're seeing it again, being first ban from Hype. Maybe they just really don't like playing against Raijin. Or maybe they're just not fans of drums. Maybe one of them's got a headache.
Pagon is a pretty solid Raijin. We've seen him pick it up in the past phases, and just period. Pagon is a great player, which is why I'm so surprised to see this team, who really is full of superstars, play the way that they did, or rather even just draft the way that they did. I'm really hoping that this time, their bans are still very solid, and I like taking away the Camazots from Layers, but they need pressure, and that's what we've been harping on this whole time is pick something with pressure, give yourself the easy W.
Well, I would like to see something like the Raven, potentially, from Elion. He played that Mulan really, really well with what he was given. And I feel like Mulan and Raven have that similar kind of playstyle, where they're fairly aggressive, they can build kind of this bruisery style, and they can still have that good impact. Just Raven being a little bit more, good at the moment, as Locked and Goated going back to this all-around first pick here. I mean, do we think Stuart had a good enough performance on it to justify the salty run back?
It's really rough to say because Oleron is a very difficult character at this level and beyond. When you are playing this character, just period, it is so hard to get a good sanctified field off because as we saw even towards the end of the game there, they were kind of lacking, which is why I'm really hoping this Oleron pick goes over to Pagon and we see something a little bit different here for Stuart because it just did not allow him to shine like he normally does.
Hey, Lemmy. Hey!
It's the run back.
He's back. Cerberus coming in as well. I have no complaints about this from Hype Unit. Both of these gods. I mean, especially Quig on the Kuzenbo. I think it was... he played it perfectly. So definitely no complaints there. Picking up this Double Guardian straight away, though. So we could be looking for them to pick up another jungler or maybe a ADC who doesn't have any CC to their name, who maybe these supports can help set up. But changing their comp already. The Jing Chen. I love it. Thor. Ooh. I love it. I think these are really good changes to this comp already.
Absolutely. Thor is Elion's bread and butter. We have seen him pop off on this character from time to time whenever he decides to pick it up. And honestly, he completely carried his squad back in phase number 2 when he was able to get this character on his side. So now that it's there, I'm feeling a lot better about this draft from Locked and Goated. They are learning their lesson so far. They've got to bring it into the gameplay though.
Hype Unit are just running this back. They're running the exact same comp. I'm just waiting to see the Ho Yi being picked up for them here. Maybe Locked and Goated will band it out, and we'll have to see 2 different characters from Hype Unit. Shock horror. But maybe we'll see it. Cupid is going to be banned out from Hype Unit. Ula being banned from Locked and Goated. Okay, I see you. I see this. Against the Thor and a Jing Chen, I'm not really sure why they would be worried about the Ula, but maybe against the Oleron, they're concerned that it will outscale if this is going back into the mid lane, so we'll have to see as it goes there, but still waiting on that second ban. There it is, Heimdall. Interesting.
Yeah, I agree with the interesting bit there. I don't think that Pagon had the best performance in this character, and it, of course, doesn't have very much early game, and they kind of are missing that AoE damage that Heimdall, kind of brings, but not to the same extent that a regular normal mage would, so I don't think that's necessarily a ban that they needed, but like you said, 2 different characters, but Bandicoot on this ROM, it's still a very good pick, and especially because you can go up into the Astral Barrage as soon as the fields are placed, and he can stay up there for basically their whole duration.
Yeah, that too, really helpful against the Thor. If you can see the Thor ult coming, if it's cooled, you can go, okay, I'm going up into the sky now. Jing Channel, Sky, Sobek, Pluck, Sky, I guess. Sobek, though, being pulled out here for Locked and Goated. Either of these Guardians could be flexed into the solo lane, but hell, being picked up by Locked and Goated here now. This is an interesting pick.
This is going to be make or break here for Pagon. If he's able to pull this hell off, this is going to be an easy stomp here for Locked and Goated. But the issue is, they're picking this into a Cerberus, so if they're trying to get a ton of team healing, and the Cerberus is even in the vicinity, he's going to be stealing it away. But you said Robin, and, Elyon didn't pick it out, but Layers is kind of here to show it off, and you're getting the character you want today, Placey.
I mean, listen, I love it when I'm right. It makes me feel super smart, and hopefully Hype Unit isn't going to do something dumb with it, like run Raven ADC, Rama jungle, but I doubt they will. Let's get into game just so that I can stop the anxiety from taking over. No, everything's fine. It will be Layers running this Raven in the jungle. I'm super excited. I think Raven is a really, really good character. I'm really excited to see him being picked up more and more in the SPL because he has so many things in his kit that are just super good at the moment. Like Mystic Rush, the overhead kick, especially. Just it's a get out of jail free card. Who doesn't want to get out of jail free card?
Especially up against the field. Having this Raven on your side is such an easy way to deal with it because you don't have to burn a relic or your ultimate to be able to get out of the field. But you can see here once again, Quig is trying to get aggressive up against Stewart's Olorun, and I am somewhat disappointed that we're seeing Stewart on it again, but of course he has this chance now to prove to us that this is a character that is in his back pocket, but this time we're seeing the pressure almost entirely relinquished here. They don't want the circle buff, and instead they're going to choose to fight early, but a nice beats there from Benny means that flux is going to go to waste.
I mean, you say waste. I say Benny Q now no longer has beats, and that's big. We saw this exact flipped situation last game where it was Stewart who was forced to beats, but it could be Ionic here in a lot of trouble as he is going to be able to find the dash out just barely. As Hype Unit, I think, are now no longer so concerned about popping Benny Q's beads. They aren't going to get the purple buff as Layers straight over here. I really like this from the jungler from Hype Unit, recognizing this time we didn't get pressure, so we'll get it just a little bit later, but we're still getting this purple buff.
I mean, some people might say level 2 ganks are kind of cheap, but honestly, if I'm Hype Unit, it's kind of smart because they know exactly where the pressure is lacking and they know how to dismantle Olorun, and that's kind of what you have to do against these Hecate abusing characters. They are at their weakest when they don't have Hecate, so being able to fight them here like they are now is exactly what you want to do.
And Ionic's in a bad spot, though. Already used the dash to pluck Benny Q. Pops the shell to try and get away, and Benny isn't gonna continue aggressing onto that, letting him go, but here comes Layers, level 3, blinks in, there's the Jazz Hands, there comes the Mystic Fists, gonna root him to the ground, but luckily for Locked and Goated, they're able to get out, but here comes the counter rotation now, mid and jungle, beads already popped by Pagon, but it's not gonna matter, Benny Q's gonna be the first to fall, Burst Blood goes the way of Locked and Goated this time, and it looks like Locked and Goated are looking for more.
Great job there to recognize that rotation. They saw that kind of rotation from Layers in the last game, and so in game 2, they've made the adjustment where, all right, we know that Layers is going to focus this side, so now it's time for us to head on over here and make the counter rotation. And that's exactly what you need to do. These guys are playing out of the playbook at this point, doing exactly what needs to be done. But Ionic here taking a tower shot. No, he's dead.
He stepped too close to the tower, Ionic. What are you doing? You had a lead. You threw it away. I'm sad. Lamy, I'm sad. Look at that.
Too.
That gold buff that they just got from that First Blood just completely squandered that. Really unfortunate. You would expect at this level of play, Ionic to recognize, okay, there is a Kuzenbo there. I should probably show him some respect, but no, and Quig, rightfully so, taking complete advantage of that and taking that kill from him. So, I mean, what to say?
Not a whole lot, but we're looking at Layers here as he's able to continue making the rotations, and even though Elion did get an assist, it's going to be up to Layers to continue to farm up here, and he's been showing pressure all over the place. It's like he's written down every single step he's going to take this game and has followed it to a T, and even though his team did fall down early, he's still showing that he's going to be able to farm just a little bit more efficiently as he hasn't backed yet, so now that he's going back, he's going to grab the full boots to his name. Actually, it looks like he didn't just quite have enough. Got 2 wards instead, but that just means that Elion's going to hit level 5 faster. But that means that Elion is in favor here.
I wonder how much gold in hand Layers has. Just to see how close to finishing off those boots he was.
Probably very close. At that point, he's probably maybe 100 or 200 gold off, and not even that. But Ionic's got to be a little bit careful here. He tried to get aggressive on that buff, and it's all because Elion has the ultimate now, and he is looking to jump onto Benny Q, or at least someone on this side, but he might have been spotted out by that very aggressive ward that Hype Unit has over by the red buff, and instead, the fight's going to take place over by the Oracle RPs.
It doesn't look like Layers should be too worried here. Again, he's got the overhead kick to immune out any damage that should come his way, and even if things get too dicey, he does have the Mystic Rush to get him to safety, but nothing really is going to come of that. And despite taking that fall under tower, Ionic still sitting a level above Quig, so I mean, still ahead, could be further ahead, but still doing well. So still looking at this pressure over in the left-hand side. Goated definitely looking a lot better this game.
Have to agree with you. We're seeing that both the ADCs are very, very even at this point. It's all going to be focused here on what happens when these supports hit level 5, because honestly, I think the person who has more value at level 5 is going to be Quig, able to fully disrupt someone. But like you said, Ionic now has a very slight advantage because he's the one to hit level 5 first, despite taking his fill. And honestly, I've got to attribute that to Quig just being a little less farming.
Ooh, Cascade just gets dunked on there over in the right-hand side as Elion, from seemingly out of nowhere, recognizing that tiny little bit of space that LG have, managed to pick up a kill for it, so Relentless definitely going to be happy with that. This time, looking a lot better. 7 to 6 are the levels in the solo lane, so, I mean, Jing Chen is one of my favorite solo laners. I love this character. He works really well into these Guardian solos because of that tick damage on the one being based on percentage HP. So, I mean, put him against someone who has more HP than your regular solo laner, and he's just going to be doing work. And we've seen it so far this game already.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job of recognizing the pressure that one Xing Chen can have over on that side. And
oh no, Elion.
Danger here.
Mystic Rush is going to be off the mark as well, though. It's a party of missed abilities over on the right-hand side of the mid lane. Elion tries to hammer through that wall, but doesn't quite have the thickness right. Not quite able to find his way onto the other side, but thanks to a slight misstep there from Layers, he is going to walk away with his life. So, not going to be too upset about it, but that's got to be upsetting for Layers there, missing out that kill on the Thor.
Oh, nice beat there from Stewart to get away from the push, but he's gonna have to pop the fields here to make sure that BennyQ walks away. And Elion showed up, which means Benny's gotta go up in the sky. He does hit 2 shots on a Stewart, but it's all gonna be about if he can get finished off.
Good spacing there from Quig, using the ultimate at the time that he knew he was BennyQ's gonna come back down. Not quite gonna be enough though. Stewart still picks up the kill, and it's gonna be number 3 on the board for Locked and Goated. Hype Unit looking like they might be falling a little bit behind here, about 500 gold back, so we've reset the advantage that they got from that first blood. So Locked and Goated still about 500 gold ahead, so that's going to be really good for them, but Locked and Goated still not finding as much of a lead as we would maybe expect from a team 2 kills up, but hold on! Was that a solo kill? Or... No, Leos is there, never mind. Up into the sky goes Elion, though, does manage to find Cascade with the edge of that ultimate. Hammer's going to come through to set up the wall, but no stun available onto Layers, but still does get the return kill onto the solo laner, so Relentless is definitely going to be happy with that.
It didn't give the respect there to the ultimate from Elion. They knew it was going to be available, and I almost think that he must have shown up on the ward they've got placed by that blue buff, but a 1-for-1 over in that solo lane means that no one comes out the real winner, if you ask me. But if Cascade can't get to that blue in time, that might be the W there for Relentless.
I mean, the winner in this situation has got to be Hype Unit. I mean, Cascade sits a level down so far from Relentless, so getting that kill on onto a character a level higher, definitely going to be a little bit of a boon for Hype Unit, but you are definitely right in saying it's not quite so cut and dry, seeing as Cascade doesn't really get to reap the rewards of that, so I mean, we'll have to see how it pans out as they are evened out now, but here's that replay over on the right-hand side as you see the overhead kick instrumental there in stopping Layers from getting pulled under tower, so very, very well done.
One thing I want to talk about here, and just for a moment as we're watching this invade happen, I don't think we're going to see too much aggression, but could be wrong, is the blink in from Quig means Stewart's getting pushed into 3, and yeah, okay, just kidding. I mean, at least it was
Why
a short
did you do it,
rotation,
Lemmy?
right?
You just killed a man, Lemmy. That was your fault.
Man.
Elion's about to walk into the trap as well. He's looking at 3. Does decide to step away, though. Layers is waiting for him. But what were you trying to say, Lemmy, before you just killed a man?
Basically, I wanted to talk a little bit about the anti-heal that's being built out by Hype Unit right now. They are up against a hell, and of course, when it's Pagon's hell, it's going to be very difficult to deal with, but you can already see 2 anti-heal items have been completed at this point. So it's going to be a little less healing across the board as long as Layers is able to apply them. And of course, Discordia is one of the best characters in the game to apply that Divine Ruin because honestly, it's hard to track when you get hit by the little blips of the one. So you know, having that applied to you pretty much all the time is going to be something to take into account here.
Well, as well, Leia's picking up the Beat Stick first item instead of the the Jotun's Wrath, so is sacrificing those cooldowns, but instead of being able to Jazz Hands more often, his Jazz Hands stop you from being able to recover from the injuries done from Jazz Hands. Trade-off?
You're losing a little bit of DPS there from Layers and Nehu. That's just kind of how you have to balance those items. You can't let a pen item be absolutely nuts in the stats and in the passive, right? So you are going to be losing just a little bit of DPS, but of course it is negligible to a certain extent. I mean, especially if you're including the inherent anti-heal there from Cascade on the Cerberus. That's just going to be up to the big doggo if he's able to sit on top of this hell. He'll be stealing it away from himself, so same time, you know, you just gotta be paying really close attention to where Pagon's gonna be hanging out. And with this Doom Orb, that's gonna give him a lot of mana sustain on top of the extra zoomies he gets from the passive.
I think the zoomies are going to be super useful to him, especially from trying to run away from Quig, who, let's be honest, Quig's first priority in any of these fights should be, let's murder Pagon. Let's just put him straight into the ground. And over on the left-hand side, near the Gold Fury, Pagon's looking to be aggressive. Level 12 against this level 7 Quig. Doing the damage is Pagon, but not quite enough as the rest of the team is coming through. But Elion, he's going to find the dunk. Spin to win is going to be good from Quig to get him away. Now it's locked and goated back on the defensive. Going to pick up this last Oracle. Maybe look to start up the Gold Fury here.
They could. They've got the sustain, and Ionic does have the secure in the ultimate. Not to mention the fields can help zone people away, but Benny's also got his ultimate. He's going to go up in the sky, but he might be a bit early, but the damage is good for Locked and Goated. They're able to secure it, and Layers gets taken down too.
Now the rest of the fight is going to keep on breaking out. Ionic is going to get hit by the apple, but I'm not really sure there's too much Hype Unit continue to follow up with this. Snipes are down from Benny, and nothing is really left in Nayu's kit, so they're going to walk away with that with a kill and a Gold Fury under their belt for absolutely nothing. Locked and Goated walking away with so much extra gold. Let's take a look at that graph.
At this point, it's going to be pretty good here for Locked and Goated. They're sitting at K up or so, a little bit more than that in fact, but they've got to be careful here because now that they've expended a ton of resources for this Gold Fury, it's going to be all about transitioning it into yet another objective. So they've got to slow it down just a little bit, maybe wait till the ultimate from El Leon is up to pick their next target, but they've been doing a great job thus far. And we even peeked over into the solo lane just a little bit, but Relentless One actually did get the invade off on the Cascade, so this poor dog's got to go home.
I just want to rewind a second and point out that just as I was starting to say that Pagon should be worried about Quig, Pagon decided that Quig would be on the menu. Is this... Are they listening?
I mean,
are we being spied on right now, man? Because I think Pagon just, like, wanted to prove to us and to Hype Unit as well, listen, if you let Quig come and try and kill me, I will just kill him.
It's been working out for them so far because we're seeing that Pagon really has not been punished at all. There's no really good tools here to slow down this hell. Anything that they're going to be throwing at him is just going to get immune by the cleanse. They've got to really put many of their eggs into the basket if they're going to be able to take down this hell at this rate. And it's honestly kind of surprising that Nehu still does have a slight advantage over Pagon in experience. And when I say slight, I really do mean slight. But at the same time, I think that Pagon has had way more of an impact.
Well, definitely. Pagon really been finding these kills and assists and the rotations as look to potentially start to rotate over onto the left-hand side, but everything fizzles out and he's going to go back to mid. But 101, I don't think represents just how impactful Pagon's been so far. I think he's made a lot of these rotations really useful and facilitated some of these kills, and also just that sustain. I mean, I'm sure if we were to look at it, every time Elion was coming and going through mid lane, Pagon was going, hey buddy, have a band-aid.
Nice pat on the back there for the jungler, but instead we're seeing Hypeunit's jungler head on over because we know the Cascade can't really live here without this blue buff, and they're putting a lot of work into it, and it does get secured, but it does cost one for two ultimates as Cascade gets gone on.
Well, the paralyzing spit is going to do enough to stop Elion from continuing to follow up, but the wall hammer combo is going to be good. Not good enough to steal away the life of the doggos and Snake Friend, unfortunately, but with that space, Locked and Goaded once again, create space, do an objective. Create space, do an objective, but this time something's different. Quig hasn't been forced out, and Nayu is here with him, but back in the backline, Nayu is going to be spotted out by him, but Quig here getting all of Hype Unit off of that Pyromancer with the spin. Breakdance is going to be good. Now it's Elion under some trouble. I was going to find him safe, but now Eonic. Spit is going to be good. The Mystic Rush finds Eonic, but he's going to be able to dash away, so he's safe. Now it's Leia's getting re-engaged on. Overhead kick, perfectly timed that to immune out the wall. Back and forth, in and out are these teams without anything really coming of it. This should be the end of the fight.
Hey, but Stuart made this rotation, which means it's Benny Q's time to shine. Go split push, my guy. Losing the Pyromancer would not be the end of the world, but getting that tower is certainly something that they can't get back. And instead, we're going to see Benny Q just continue to farm up. There's not really any wards for them on that pathway between the dual lane and the mid lane, so Benny Q just does not know what happened to Stuart. Did he go back to base? Did he go for the red buff? So many options and so little information for the ADC. He's just not confident enough to push up.
And it's rightfully so. You know, they don't have any deep wards into Locked and Goated's jungle on the left-hand side. Only this one sentry by the Alpha Harpy. So really smart from Benny Q to acknowledge, okay, don't know where he is, don't know where Thor is, I'm out. That's it from me. He's just going to back off, play nice and safely. And now, we're seeing Hype Unit almost being backed off into the passenger seat here as Locked and Goated really start to take the wheel. What kind of things can Hype Unit do to really start to alleviate some of this pressure that they've been put under?
They're going to have to slow it down just a little bit. They've got to play a little more constructed in these team fights. They're kind of just going on whatever target is closest to them, and it's not been working out for them because as soon as they do that, Elion says, all right, you guys want to split up? I'm going up in the sky and diving on your backline, and that's what they've been doing all game long, but it looks like they're going to give up yet another Gold Fury as they've split off to go take the Pyromancer instead, and this is not a good trade for Hype Unit. You're losing out on a Primal Fury, which could be helping you out a whole lot later on.
Well, especially as Relentless One almost came in. I don't know why he didn't ult and just try and push them away from it, but didn't quite secure it, so Hype Unit do walk away with a Pyro, but as you said, I definitely don't think this is the favorable matchup for them now. Eonic playing very aggressively here in this jungle, but does facilitate the space for this tier 1 tower in mid lane, so Locked and Goated just getting the stuff after the stuff. At Hype Unit, I don't think they know where the breaks are.
Not one bit, it seems. Everyone's kind of on their own page right now, and meanwhile, Locked and Goated have been somewhat deathballing across the map, whether it's Elion, followed up by Pagon and Eonic. Those three have kind of been back and forth across the whole map, putting the pressure wherever is necessary, and they've been doing a great job at it because you can already see they've been taking down that Gold Fury pretty much on cooldown, and they also got that mid-tier 1 tower, so if they keep up the pressure like this, I would not be surprised for them to be able to grab that first Fire Giant.
Absolutely, and they have quite the comp for it as well with Stuart's auto attacks and Pagon's healing. I think they have a pretty decent chance of taking it, but I mean, on the other side, there's a lot more secure on Hype Unit. So if they do try and pick it up, Hype Unit could look to come in here with the steal, with Mystic Rush, with the Apple of Discord, even with the breakdance from Quig. And Benny Q's ultimate is like stealing heaven. So they definitely have to be careful, even if they do build up a massive lead.
Of course, and like you said, there are plenty of options to deal with it, but it's all about limiting the options of the other team, and that's what Locked and Goated have drafted this comp around. They've been very focused on stepping back when they need to, healing up, and eliminating the options that Cascade might have or that the Robin might have to be able to jump on in, because with this Hell at their side and the fact that she's not been taken down yet means that an entire Supercell could just be cleansed out by one simple button from Pagon. So having an ult just be basically nullified like that is incredibly dangerous, and so if Locked and Goated play the slow and patient game, this is a huge look for them.
Well, slow and patient apparently is not in anyone's dictionary, especially not LNG's. They're going to look to full pedal into that tier 2 tower, but even the little bit of presence showing there from Hyperion. It makes them pump the brakes just a little, but up into the skies goes Thor. He's looking to land onto Cascade, but the jump away is going to be good from the dog, but he's going to jump straight into the wall. Knockup is going to be good, but not going to find too much. Cascade's still alive here, as Lays is trying to find some help for his solo laner. But unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. Elion's going to pick up that first kill. Now the rest of the fight is going to engage. Stuart, nice big field there from Stuart, is going to stop Hype Unit from progressing too much. But he's going to fall down low alongside the rest of LNG. They do have this healing from Pagon. A lot of anti-heal is applied right now with that cursed Unk. So they are just going to back up. But Hype Unit not choosing to push that engagement. Instead, they're just going to let them go and LNG take a tower for it.
There's just not much they can do right now. They've spent all their ultimates. They've just got to bet on the split push train because all of that sustain coming out from Pagon, coming out from Stewart, they've got 2 or 3 heals on their side, and not to mention that Relentless One has a ton of HP 5 to boot. They just can't continue to pick these sustained fights, and that's just the issue with Hype Unit's draft, is they have no way to deal with the extra sustain once they throw everything in.
Well, throwing everything in might be their downfall in this engagement. As we said, lots of steal potential from Hype Unit, but not much of it exists if they don't have ultimates. But it didn't look like Locked and Goated really wanted that Fire Giant anyways. They're just going to look to full commit onto the fight, but a missed ultimate from Elion. Well, it wasn't necessarily missed. The roll away from Benny Q is going to be really good there to stop him from getting flattened by the ultimate, but that's just going to be the wash there. These are some pretty whack decision-making in my eyes. Why are these teams just so non-committal at the moment?
Well, they've got to be careful, right? Because we're sitting at 20 minutes in, and considering the fact that we've got an ADC on both sides that can really shred through objectives, they need to be conscious that if one team falls all the way down and the other does not, that means the Fire Giant will be completed. And at this point, the biggest thing that they've got to be concerned about now is dealing with that. But also, on the other side of the map, the Only Fury is about to spawn, and you saw the pings just a minute or so ago. They're going to be going to this right next, so we're going to have to see that Hype Unit actually do contest this one, because if they don't, I would suspect they're going to lose a ton more towers.
Yeah, it would definitely be devastating for Hype Unit's structure economy if they were to drop an Oni Fury for free here, but looks like they are looking to group up around it, but Locked and Goated are here as well. In the mid lane, and we're going to see the first little bit of a skirmish, but it's just the solo laners slapping each other, you know. No big deal. Relentless One, though, could be found a little bit too far up. He doesn't have the jump, but the ultimate's going to come through. He might fall down here, and the Mystic Rush is going to secure the kill. That's number 1 for Hype Unit. Now, can they keep pushing this objective, or are they going to go for the fight? It looks like they're going to peel off and look for the Oni Fury, which is the absolute smart call here.
They did such a great job of Quake zoning out Pagon there, but Quake's got to do it again, as he's again pushing Pagon away right into a corner, trying his best to set up the snipes, and with Beneq as the assist, that's a nice kill onto the healer.
And now without the hell to immune out that ultimate, Cascade is going to be more than confident enough to spam it, knocking up 3, but only finding 1. Ionic is going to be put out of place. He's going to try and find his way under the water, and he's going to do so. But Beneq, he's here to hunt, mate. These crocodiles aren't going to escape me and my arrows. And he's going to put him straight into the ground. No Oni Fury, though.
They've got to be really careful, right? Because Elion is in the vicinity, and so is Stewart. But that just means they could do it themselves. Look at him. He's healing straight from this Hecate. So Nair's not going to be able to do anything here. It just means a free Oni Fury. Oh, I can goaded. So all in all, they did lose 3 members and get none in return. But I'd say the Oni Fury is equally as worth it.
It's only worth it, in my eyes, if they can get something off of these minions, though. If they can't, like, for example, if they lose the Fire Giant because they were focused on Oni, then that would be a big deal, as it falls to about a third now. 1/4. Relentless One is the only one here. Washing Machine is going to be good. Hype Unit are going to secure the Fire Giant, though. Relentless One not quite able to steal it away with that ultimate there. So Hype Unit going to walk away. I mean, they took a Fire Giant and a Pyromancer there. Do you still think that Oni Fury is good for them here?
I mean, it will still distract them, regardless of the fact that they have this Fire Giant. They will need to deal with the Oni minions. So, you know, the pressure is still on the map. They will take those towers if you're not careful about it. So it will slow down Hype Unit just a little bit. But they've been showing that their team fighting has been significantly better than what we've been seeing in the early game from them. All they have to really do is make sure that Pagon is isolated in these fights. If he's not able to heal up his team, I mean, as we saw with both times around the Gold Fury fight, that's how they find their wins. They need to have Quig continuing to be incredibly good on this pressure, because that's what's going to be the difference between them winning and them not.
I completely agree, and I think Hype Unit did something really special here that not many teams could potentially do, in that their whole plan, right? We're just going to do what we did game one, we'll just super aggress on them early, and then we will just coast off that. They don't get the aggression early, or rather they do, but it doesn't pay off for them. They instead get the kills onto them, and then they transition into, okay, well, we'll just try and hold out, and then we'll go for the late game team fights that we know we can win.
For them to be able to win these fights, they've got to keep a very close watch on Pagon. We've talked about it again and again, but all of these deep wards are going to matter a lot, especially if Quig can keep his little old turtle eyes on this stance switcher, because that's going to be the difference between a win and a loss in these team fights. If they're able to sit back and heal, and Hype Unit have already burned all of their ultimates, there's nothing that they can do to re-engage a fight. So they're taking it nice and slow, realizing there's still 2 towers left on that right-hand side, and they're gonna reset and go for the best Phoenix to push.
Playing super safe, our Hype Unit, and like perfectly reasonable and just beautifully played by Hype. Super patient. We'll get one thing, we'll go back. We'll get another thing, we'll go back. They're not looking to rush it. They're just looking to win, and that is what is so special about this team. And I mean, well, I say that they weren't looking to rush anything. Quig, he's been tired of being pushed into the background this whole time. He's looking to be aggressive. Might find Ionic here, but I mean, the rest of the team's gone away, Quig. Just back off, all right? It's fine. We'll just get the tier 1 tower. It's fine.
He's the Kuzenbo that's in your face and wants to push you around, so he's kind of cosplaying right now, and he's doing very, very well. 1-0-4 is the support of Hype Unit right now, and I've got to say, a pretty flawless performance from him thus far, and they might get this pick on Ionic.
Ionic, I mean, he wasn't even caught out of position there. He was just moved out of position. Now Quig is going to be the one reciprocated under the tower. Breakdance is going to be good, but up into the sky goes Thor. Apple is going to be good to hit Stuart, and the field is going to come out, but he's going to fall down before he gets to reap the benefits of it. Nayu picks up 2 kills there. What a beautiful Apple. Now it's going to be Hype Unit continuing this push. They don't want the tower. They want the kills. Pagon, the only one left standing now, alongside Elion, who does make it back to the base, but Hype Unit now backing off, picking up this tier 2 tower, but whilst they're doing that, the rest of the team is taking these kills. Layers nearly falls down, but it's not going to be enough. Down he falls, down goes Thor, and this could be the end, Lermy.
Honestly, it might be. There's nobody up for the next 15 seconds at the very least, and all 5 members have Fire Giant. They are going to collapse on this Titan, and that was an easy 2-0 there from Hype Unit as soon as they made that adjustment to be able to make sure that Pagon just was not in those fights. There was nothing Locked and Goated could do.
There is a word for what just happened. It is called the major switcheroo, where Hype Unit went, okay, we'll lull them into a false sense of security. Locked and Goated bringing up this lead slowly, and then Hype Unit just went, oh, you've got a lead, that's not, die. And then they won. And then they just won. And Lermy, I am shooketh.
You have every right to be, man, because that early game was nuts from Locked and Goated. They were getting kills left and right, and it seemed like everybody that needed to get off the ground was going in the right direction, but unfortunately, they just could not convert it into the late game, as we see that nobody really was outright feeding. It just really seems that altogether, this was a low kill game that was all about the strategy, and Hype Unit just came out ahead.
I feel like they were just patient. Like you said earlier on, their team fight was just better. And when it got to that stage in the game where, you know, it's time for team fights, it's team fight time, it just favored Hype Unit, either in their communication and teamwork or just in their comp in general. I think it's probably more to do with the communication, as Locked and Goat did have a beautiful comp for that team fight there with so much setup and so much damage, but Hype Unit just showing off why they are currently number 2 in the league in the standings, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, here's the breakdown of a Hype Unit fight. Quake goes into the back line. Stuart's going to be popping out the fields, and that kind of sucks, but Quake's going to be immune the whole time. And meanwhile, Neu's tossing at the apple from range, and up in the sky goes Benekyu, shooting out the arrows from the Astro Barrage as he gets set up by the knockaround from the ultimate from Quig. So, by all means, they don't even need to be in the fight as long as they're getting interrupted and the carries are getting melted down from range. That's a huge W from Hype Unit, and finally, in the late game, they were able to make it happen.
They're going to take it all the way to the bank as well. I mean, Hype Unit looking strong. I'm really looking forward to, I believe it's next week, we're going to see them go up against the current top team, which I believe is Baskin and the boys. So really looking forward to see that set. But ladies and gentlemen, stay right where you are, because we got another exciting set coming up in just a few minutes between Baskin and the boys themselves and your best buds.